and sleep to distress myself?
I listen to music a lot, so if I feel stressed, I just listen to music, and it calms me down. Then I'm back.
For many people, stress is so commonplace that it has become a way of life. Stress isn't always bad. In small doses, it can help you perform under pressure and motivate you to do your best. Meanwhile, here you are with some things that influence your stress tolerance level. A strong network of supportive friends and family members can be an enormous buffer against life's stresses. On the flip side, the more lonely and isolated you are, the greater your vulnerability to stress. Your attitude and outlook. Optimistic people are often more stress-hardy. They tend to embrace challenges, have a strong sense of humor, and accept that change is a part of life. Your ability to deal with your emotions. You're extremely vulnerable to stress if you don't know how to calm and soothe yourself when you are feeling sad, angry, or overwhelmed by a situation. Your knowledge and preparation. The more you know about a stressful situation, including how long it will last and what you expect, the easier it is to cope. So for example, if you go into surgery with a realistic picture of what to expect after the operation, a painful recovery will be less traumatic than, for example, you were expecting to bounce back immediately. Stress, in small doses, can help you perform under pressure and motivate you to do your best.
Okay, so welcome back to our Health Club, which is brought to you by Lipton Tea, still the #1 tea brand in the world, and Voltic Natural Mineral Water. Now in the studio this morning I have Dr. Joseph Osofo. He is a clinical psychologist, a suicidologist, and a lecturer at the Department of Psychology at the University of Ghana. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm cool, and you?
I'm fine, thank you. I am not stressed, let's just put it that way, at the moment. It could happen a bit later on. Let's get into our discussion. First off, do you mind giving us the medical definition of what stress is, please?
Well, that's interesting to say, medical definition. But I think that generally when I talk about stress, you are simply referring to your body's reactions to demands.
Okay.
We all go through some sort of demands, one or the other, each day. It could be demands from your workplace, it could be demands, for example, when we just watch the traffic, for example. It could be demands coming from anywhere at all. So how your body adjusts to these demands is simply stress.
Okay. Are there different types of stress or categories of stress, some more severe than others?
Definitely. You can have, for example, go through a major life challenge or major life event. Let's say for a couple of days or weeks you had to go through some losses. You lost a job, you lost a dad, you lost a friend. You can be overwhelmed, and that could be an acute form. Okay. And then you could go through chronic stress, and these are, for example, stress that you go through each day
to day.
Every day you go in, commuting from work to home, daily hassles and all that. So yes, there are forms of it, and again you can even have categories. For example, you can have pressures, coming from the work you do, coming from friends, expectations and all that.
Okay.
And you could equally go through some frustrations. And you want to move from one end to the other, but you experience some kind of obstacles and blockades and all that. Yes.
Okay. So now this morning when we were doing our introduction to the show, Nana Abba stated that she doesn't get stressed at all. Is that possible?
Yeah, that's quite interesting. It's quite interesting. The fact is that stress is a fact of life. It's inevitable. Everybody goes through stress.
Right. It's how you
like the presentation showed.
Yeah.
It's your response. It's how you adjust.
Okay.
So perhaps Naba has mastered
She's got
Yes.
an auto switch that it.
That's it. So she knows how to just simply adjust.
Okay.
And that's possible.
What are some of the consequences of stress on one's physiology? Because some people have stated that when they get stressed, they may have headaches. Some people lose weight. Some people gain weight. Are those the only types of physical manifestations of stress, or could there be others?
Not just physical manifestations, for example, or physiological signs. There are equally behavioral signs.
Okay.
And then you can have emotional problems, for example.
Okay.
But let me start off quickly from the physiological. You can be, tired. You may have a problem sleeping, for example.
Okay.
Disturbances. You may have irritable bowel syndrome and all kinds of bodily responses, because your body is under pressure and it's mastering all the resources in your body to be able to deal with the pressure. You can also have behavioral challenges. For example, you easily get irritable,
Right.
Okay, and sometimes the slightest provocation is so angry
And you
get
snap.
Right, snap and all that. And emotionally, you get depressed, you are unstable and all that. And of course, people can, after going through this, begin to engage in other behaviors that may affect their health.
Right.
But they may find those behaviors as distress,
Stress
for
relief.
example.
Okay.
Yes, relief.
So, for instance, if somebody says, "I need a drink,"
And he
I
goes
need to have a cigarette.
Yes.
So those kind of things are leading on to something else.
Perfectly.
Right.
So they lead you on.
So you might
to
find it
acquire.
as a distressor.
but it may affect your health.
Right.
For example, somebody eat late and look at the time you eat.
Right.
So the person is so stressed, he gets to the kitchen and gets some food, and it's eaten around 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. Or the person is smoking, or is ingesting some kind of a drug or whatever.
Yeah.
And so you look at the time, you look at the thing you are using. The idea that you carry presently is you are looking for something to distress,
Like a release.
But that's it.
Right.
But eventually, it may affect
Your health.
your biology. Your
So we should be looking at de-stressing activities that will not affect our health in the long run.
Perfectly. And those are what they call, good stress relieving principles.
What I would do is maybe go hit the gym or go for a ride on my bike.
That's fine. That's quite interesting. Another person may be listening to music. Some other persons may sit and relax, for example.
Right.
If you cannot teach someone how to relax, you could always go to a psychologist, a professional,
Okay.
who walk you through what they call progressive muscle relaxation, for example.
Okay.
Particular bodies, part of your body may carry pent-up emotions and charged, emotions. And
Okay.
you will have to, for example, talk to a professional to walk you through how to relax the general musculature of the body.
Okay.
So you can have, for example, you can squint your eyes, for example. You could clench your feet, for example.
Yeah.
You could breathe in, for example.
Grind your teeth.
Grind your
Those
teeth.
kind of
Clench
things.
your
Yeah.
jaw.
Okay.
And the idea here is to learn to observe the contrast between tension and relaxation. And you can
Okay.
do all this. Some, for example, may tend to, like you said, jogging, doing some aerobics and all that, exercising and all
Yeah.
this.
Okay. What's the difference between stress and depression?
Well, depression will become, for example, a product
Of stress.
of stress.
Right.
Yes. So stress is more of a process, and depression will become a product of it.
byproduct.
So depression, anxiety disorders, these are all some of the disorders
Okay.
that could arise
Manifest
if you
from stress.
don't manage your stress well.
Okay. Is there any direct impact on your heart when it comes to
It
stress?
does. Not only on your heart, but almost every organ in your body
Okay.
can be affected. For example, your heart, your liver, your kidneys, your mind, your brain, every organ, every vital organ in your body. The fact is that when your body is under stress, it's simply under demand. There's demand is placed on it, and when that happens, your body would have to adjust physiologically. For example, several neurotransmitters such as adrenaline
Right.
and all that are released in your body, and
Yeah.
they are to be used. So your body is programmed for either a fight or a flight reaction
Yeah.
when you go through stress. And so, granted that you are experiencing a stressor, and then after a while, these particular neurotransmitters or neurochemicals are supposed to, come out of your body. But
Right.
you stay in constant stress. The stressor continues for
Yeah.
a day or two or three, a chronic stressor. Then, of course, you're going to have these particular chemicals in your body for a long time that may affect your immune system.
Right.
So what stresses do is to compromise your immune system, so you cannot fight against opportunistic infections and all that.
Okay, understood. Now, when it comes to sex, gender, like you said, there's certain chemicals. Men, you'd have the adrenaline and testosterone. Women's would be estrogen, as well as adrenaline as well. Now, how do these manifest in males and females differently? Because we find that maybe men might get violent. Women, I will not comment on. Yes, I'm trying to be politically correct. So, how does stress affect gender?
Well, I think that we need to look at how it affects gender in terms of how we have been processed to react. And let me start off from, for example, the men. That generally is noted all over the world through research that men often will not open their mouth and talk about their problem to others. It's seen as unmanly. It's seen as a feminine
form of weakness.
It's seen as it doesn't display that kind of masculinity and that kind of courage. And so, don't talk about the problem to any other person. Deal with it. And so, men are unlikely to solicit the interventions of others.
Okay. And
that's what leads to they, are more likely to smoke, going in for hard liquor, and then all kinds of things. But beneath that is the testosterone, the medical composure of men. Men are more likely to be aggressive, so irritable. And so when they get aggressive, they may want to,
use their hands
and all that. But the fundamental difference here is how men. So you are likely to find more women looking for support when they are going through challenges, and we are likely to see more women reporting for health challenges.
Right.
And that's it's a fact.
Yeah.
Now, men don't often report. They don't health report, but women would do that.
Yeah.
And so these are the differences.
Okay.
Men are not likely to report and say, I have a problem.
Right.
And I want you.
So, women, if you're watching out there and your man is quiet, he's probably being stressed by you. So be careful.
Well.
Here's a question for you. Can stress be positive in any way, shape, or form?
It can. For example, you could personally win a lottery unexpectedly.
That would be nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huge sum of money, and then you got so elated, very happy, jumping around. That's a form of stress. We call it eustress. It's a positive stress, for example. You could buy a house. You could win a promotion. You could go through get a promotion in your workplace, for example. That may bring pressure on you to accommodate and to make some changes.
Okay.
And so, let's say you are promoted. The expectation is it's a positive occurrence event, but the expectations that are coming from those you work with, and the time you have to report, what are the responsibilities and obligations that go with this promotion. And so, yes, we can have stresses that are positive, but again, don't forget the basic reaction is how you react. The basic point is how you react.
Okay. Now, Dr. Ossoff, just to round things up very quickly, so for anyone who's going through stress at the moment, they may know it, may not know it, what's your advice to them?
Well, the first thing is, number one, when you're going through stress, you can do a few things for yourself. You can learn to relax. You can just talk to a friend. You can just take a walk. If you are the type who likes jogging and exercising, just try
do some of that.
These things. But when these stresses are becoming chronic, and you're beginning to weigh down on your physique and your biology, your entire makeup, it's important to talk to a professional, a psychologist. Go and see a psychologist who may walk you through some principles and teach you how to, manage until you get depressed or develop any of these anxiety disorders. All right.
I want to say a big thank you for coming in this morning. This has been Dr. Joseph Ossoffo. He is a psychologist, a suicidologist, and a lecturer at the Department of Psychology, University of Ghana. Thank you so much for coming in this morning.